go see it, we go. These guys come on early. I hope you enjoyed the music. Keeps me seeing the old tunes. I think we're good. Right. Shame to stop, quite like that. We got C6 Steve. Let's see. Turn it back on later, maybe. Hi Vincent. See the father-in-law's online now. No pressure, like. Guys, okay, so there's a wee bit of a lag on the YouTube channel, I think, because got a wee bit of bother with the internet connection here at the minute, so we've actually cut down the speed it's going through. So if any of you guys have bother with it, I do apologise. I will be running back and forth to the camera because I can't quite read what people are saying, and I put it like a landscape when all the writing goes that way, if you know what I mean. So if anybody knows how to flip that around so I can read the writing down that way, let me know. Right, okay, so what is our plan today? Well, our plan today, folks, is we are going to forge a little gyuto style Japanese chef knife. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's basically, I'm sure you've seen them online. You see. Thought I had it to hand, but so what we actually have, I plan to forge is something along these lines here. Okay, now this is after what I'd call the first grind, sorry, maybe the second grind, hasn't quite been finished off. But you can generally see the general profile we're going to try and forge with a little Japanese hidden tang. Now the reason I'm doing this here, because honestly the Japanese style chef knife is pretty much as straightforward as it comes to actually forge. So it's a great wee one to start with. Also as well, when you kind of evolve on to working with the grinders and shaping it and stuff, when you've got a bevel that goes all the way down to the tip and all the way up, it's much easier than trying to put the little plunge line into it and ricasso and all that there. Which is basically a wee transition point from there to there. And that's quite hard and tricky to grind when you're doing a freehand. Piece of piss if you've got jigs and you're turning these out. However, it's not always as straightforward, to do that. So when you're starting off your first few knives, so each Japanese style chef knife is always a good way to start. We'll talk a little bit later on about Japanese knives and German chef knives, French chef knives, and maybe the samurai sword and all the rest of it. But we'll forge that first. Now I'll bring this up to the camera a little bit so maybe you guys can see it. It's very rusty and it's shined up. I just want you to look at the general profile, what we're looking for, which would then eventually go into that type of step there. I don't know if you guys can see it. Hey Neil, how you doing? See you back. Right, so that's the general idea. I'm not going to go into great deal of detail. I'm just going to concentrate on the forging for now. and just the techniques of doing that, because I think there's at least one person who's actually got their forge already lit up and who's trying to forge along with us. Maybe when I finally get all this internet sorted out and the forging all sorted out, and we can do like a Zoom forge along or something like that here. Okay, so what we're making a knife out of today is a steel called 1075 with chrome. The 1075 with chrome is basically a high carbon steel, but not too high carbon steel, and it's got a little bit of chrome in it, which makes it a little bit rust resistant. This is the standard steel we use for our bladesmithing classes. It's quite forgiving. It's in the spring steel section, so it's quite compatible with a lot of other steels, and it fire welds quite easily at later dates when we're doing Damascus and stuff like that. So people are well used to it. Behaves a lot like the steel we usually forge with as well. That's why we choose to use it. Also, because it's a nice cutting edge, it's nice and flexible, it takes a bit of abuse. May not necessarily go as sharp as like a 1095 or something that's got a little bit higher carbon content, but it will be, once sharpened properly, it will be sharper than any knife you will have in your kitchen. I guarantee you that. But as I say, the reason I choose this is a wee bit more forgiving. Okay? Right. So we're heating up again as normal. You remember last week or the week before, we talked a wee bit about the forge, about neutral zones, clean areas, gassy stuff at the top, rubbish stuff at the bottom. Same rules apply. Same rules apply as before as well. You want to regularly check it as well. The tongs we're using today are gyuto tongs. Nothing fancy. These are a set of tongs that have been battered to hell on the classes, so you can see they're in quite a rough shape, but they suffice and they do the job. The idea of them is they wrap all the way around the steel, so when you're hitting it, it's not moving about all over the place, if you know what I mean. So when you strike, you're striking with purpose. Again, apologies for the lights today. It's very, very bright, so it's kind of bleach and everything. So can't really do much about that. I'm not going to curse the sun, so I'm just glad it's here. The only way it's going to get around that, folks, is going to be climbing up the top of the roof and put something on top, and that just wasn't going to happen. One thing you want to watch when you are forging a knife is, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you understand what your colours are. So your colours in relation to what you need to get. So basically normal forging temperature is suffice, which is basically normally in a non-bright area would be kind of like a bright orangey colour, not bright yellow but bright orangey colour. And you want to kind of keep it in that zone. However, in a bright sunny day, what happens is it bleaches the colour. So what it makes colours which are normally quite bright just be quite dull on the steel itself. Okay, see someone's asked a question there. Just let me just double check. No, I didn't. James, I just don't really follow other people on Facebook and YouTube and all that. It's not really. I get really jealous of them, or I get really cross at them, so I don't tend to watch other people. To be honest, should really. Probably to get this done properly. Okay, so as I say, we're going to be forging this here little Japanese style chef knife. Right, as I say, the colours are starting to get there, kind of a dull red, but I want to bring it up a little bit more. Okay, and just let the heat soak through it a little bit more. Now, one of those common things that can happen when you're forging a knife is you can create like work stresses into it by forging incorrectly. Forging it when it's too cold. Or not letting the heat soak all the way through it. Okay, so you can see the colour starting to get there. So if you look at it there, I don't know if you can see that. Okay, and then I move it to the light. You can see. See, it dulls down a little bit. Okay. So again, it's one of these things you want to be careful of. But as I say, you want the heat to kind of bleed all the way through, have a well soaked through. When I go to strike this with a hammer, you're not putting any stresses where you don't need to put it. Okay. Hammer there. Nope. There it is. You always forget something. Okay. So. As you're starting to draw it down, you will start to get, if you guys can see that, it'll start to turn on you. And you can see it kind of bend a little bit. Now that's very hard to avoid, particularly because of the shape of the bick. Now I'm forging this down here for the whole down here as opposed to up here, so I can avoid the steel folding over and creating like a little duck shape, duck mouth. When the steel folds on it, and then you hammer that in, that'll create a weakness in the steel. And the whole point of this is to make the steel strong, and make the grain nice and structurally strong as well. But if you're creating weaknesses, it can defeat the purpose. So I found, teaching this over the years, to use the end of the bick, but the bick is kind of like a cone shape. So even though you're hitting it straight and down like so, and you may be bang on the square, the cone shape will cause it to kind of like warp a little bit. So all that means to you really is just correct it as you go along. Another way to do it perhaps would be to go from one side to the other, or one side to the other. But it's either just give it a few slaps on the handle as you go along. If you're done having this fire lit a little bit longer, it's a little bit gentle. Good man, Luke. Now, so the whole point of this is to compress the grain down into a point. Now, common misconception you see a lot of bladesmiths do is you only just do that one way. You really need to do it this way, that way, and then towards the cutting edge. Okay. Now, the common confusion you get with that is it's really a time thing for most bladesmiths. Now, I say bladesmiths, I don't say knife makers, because there's a lot of knife makers out there doing whatever ear forge, but that's one that later on. By compressing the grain to the tip, compressing the grain to the edge, you're creating a structural strength throughout the blades. Think about like woods and a tree, where you chop like a log, go one way it splits, you hit it the other way it's strong. The same sort of idea with a knife. Or steel, sorry. Now what's happened there, the round part of the bick is the shape of these steels going in like so. I'm bringing it all the way up to tip, and then I'm going to gradually drag it back a little bit so it goes down into a point. I'll show you in a wee second. What I mean. So you can see how it's kind of curved like so. Now I'm going to slowly bring that down into, not slowly, quite quickly bring that down into a point. You also notice there's no little folds in the steel. You can see that. That's something that's really important when you're making a knife. So many people we have watching that. Not a huge amount. Oh well. Both of the guys who are enjoying this. Okay. Now I've got that down into a point, I'll show you in a wee second that, okay? So what we're going to start thinking about now is the general shape. Now if you notice with this blade here, you notice it kind of goes down into a subtle little taper and a severe little taper. So I've already got this here bit pretty much forged, so I just want to kind of bring the whole thing down a little bit. Hope you guys can see that. A bit more of a point. Really disconcerting. I can see the YouTube channel over here, and that's a little bit behind the Instagram. So it's kind of like I'm forging over there, but I can see myself chatting over here. It's kind of weird. I don't think I'll ever be a professional YouTuber, guys. Much better than the daytime. Yeah, daytime TV is pretty rugby, to be honest. But to be honest, James, I haven't got to watch much of it. I'm still like working and sculpting and doing my thing, thankfully. So they should be that later on. Oh, forgot to do it. Okay. So I'm starting to bring that down into a point. You see that? Okay. So I'm starting to bring this taper down, ready to the point already made. Okay. So just got the general form of it. Now to be honest, I was doing this here without chatting. I probably would have had this done about 5 minutes ago. And I maybe would have pumped up the fire a little bit more, but I'm just trying to do this at a half decent pace. So with that in mind, like when you see these guys are professional knife makers and whatnot who don't forge a knife, yet call their workshop a forge. You know, why it doesn't take that long. You know, if you want to do 10 or 15 knives, why not spend a couple hours, have them all forged, and then you can say you forged your knife. Also, your knife is stronger for it. So these people who just use CNC machines, just spend the time, want to forge and master it for a wee while, and then just you'll find such a benefit towards your own blades. It's not rocket science, guys. So anybody can learn this stuff. So careful with the colours. See the light's telling me that's too cool, but I know there's a little bit, wee bit heat still left in it. It's really tricky with the light. What these guys talk about. Thanks for that, Sally. Cheers, James. Well, hopefully, just a wee bit of we think about the thing. Hopefully when this all passes us, no idea when, because at the end of the day social distance is very, very, very tricky to do in here. So probably when our social distance this thing goes away, things should be 100% okay. But we'll see, you know, I don't know when, but my classes will still be on. You can still buy vouchers, you can still book dates, you know. I'm not going anywhere. So if you like the idea of this here, look into a class, hotmilkforge.com. If you don't want to book in a specific date, you can buy a voucher. It's all there. So the general profile is on its way. I can do it tidying up a little bit. Before I do that, okay, you can see that. Before I do that, I'm going to dress the cutting edge a little bit. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm not going to actually make, a bevel that's so fine that it's almost going towards trying to have the knife sharp. I don't want to do that because when you go through all the different heat treatment processes later on, when it's such a difference between the shape and the form, also it's going to create a little bit of a weakness down at the end as well. Yeah, in theory you can do it. In theory you can do a lot of things, but it is quite, why give yourself a rod for your back? But saying that, you still have to create a bit of a grain structure, a bit of a compression towards the tip. It does make your cutting edge a bit stronger. So what I'll do is I'm going to bring it to the edge here. I'm just going to run the hammer along. Flip it over the other side. Like that. Got a little GoPro going here as well, guys, so it's right up close. So fingers crossed we'll get a little bit of cool video edited together later on YouTube. Any questions, guys, while I'm here? There is time between heats. I missed the whole part of the conversation there. Something about Marty moving metal. So what I'm doing is just trying to tidy it up a little bit. Now, if you ever do come to my classes, what you will find me saying a lot at this stage is 5 minutes on a forge is equal to half an hour on a grinder. Now, obviously you're using an angle grinder, you're grinding into it and shaping all that, you're doing things quickly, but if you're using an angle grinder, it's very easy to fuck up. So it's a lot, that's why we use belt sanders, 2x72 inches and 4x something, I can't remember. So yeah, they give you nice cleaner lines when you're grinding, but it does take quite a while to get it done correct. And that's why so many guys use CNC machines and jigs and all this carry on. But if you just spend a little bit of time forging correctly at this time, it should save you a lot. Okay. One more each and do it, and then I'm going to flip it around, and then I'm going to start doing the tang. Now the tang, folks, is this little area here. Now if you watched last week's class, you would have seen when I was doing box jaw tongs. Okay, so any of this look familiar, guys? See it? So I'll be using the same technique. So as I always say is in the classes, you always benefit as a bladesmith by doing a bit of blacksmithing, learning some of the basic skills of blacksmithing, even if it's just making your own tools. Learning your way around the forge, learning your way around the various techniques that apply to it, means it gives you such a shortcut for when you're actually trying to forge a knife. So you're not hammering it a little bit, creating cold shots, folds and steel all over the place, making a mess of it, and then just just grind it out, grind it back again afterwards. That's not a way to make a knife. so you can see the general form there. Instagram first. See it? You can also see a little taper towards the point. You can also see down here. See it that way? You can also see the cutting edge is compressed a little bit too, just down there. Thanks, John. Much appreciated, mate. Hello, Horace, as well. I don't know if you are genuinely a French guy. There's Manu Chao playing in the background. Not many people probably in this part of the world know who that is, but he's a big superstar in France. It's very disconcerting me doing that. That's the only way I can read it. Comments. As I said, we're going to do the set down here. Now do take notes if you're doing this at home, the angle, okay? Now if you do the set down, set it down here and then force it into place. If you get your angle correct on the anvil, as you're doing it, you can see, it'll save you a lot of time on the ground. It also makes your knife that little bit more structurally sound. Waving going on. Wave back to everybody. Things go on. Numbers like now. A lot of people waving and then going. Again, same process again. What we're trying to do is slowly soak the heat through it. So I'm not plunging that into the bright white yellow place. Bottom of fire is full of oxygen and full of crap. We want to bring out to a nice steady heat in the clean area of the forge. Here's the right way. Okay, so same as last week, if you remember, slight angle. A few wee taps against that lower. It's half on, half off. At the beginning, because the thing is, this is the Japanese hidden tang. So the difference in the Japanese hidden tang and a different hidden tang. Basically, this bit here, you guys can see it. A normal hidden tang is down here, okay, down that little bit lower. Where the Japanese hidden tang is pretty much at the top. Here's an authentic Japanese chef knife, which I got when I was teaching in Japan. You can see how that pretty much runs right at the top. See that? Same sort of idea. So when you're forging it, when you're forging the knife and you're hammering it down, like so, you keep the hammer coming half on, half off, like so. Stay there. There's no point moving elsewhere. However, if you were doing a fully hidden tang and you want it coming up like two shoulders in the neck, you may want to move the hammer fully onto the anvil. It's very, like, I had to be so careful, as I said, it was better light as well. I'd be a little bit more confident on the forging part. Because of the bright light coming down here, I'm just not 100% sure whether I'm putting a work stress in that, because it's gone black. So I'm just going with my timings here, I'm just being that extra bit careful. Does that just put Does that just put the Tang? What do you mean, James? I'm not quite sure what you mean. Oh, yeah, so the Tang goes up. Well, it depends on the function of the blades. If you're making a little survival knife, if you want your finger grooves to look quite low down, then you want your Tang. Basically want your Tang in the middle of your handle. Okay, so if your handle's high, you want your Tang high. So if your handle's in the middle of the knife, you want your Tang in the middle of, the handle. Makes sense, really. I love the fact that people are coming on, giving me a wee wave and then go away again. I hope you watch it later. I might try next week broadcast on Facebook. The only reason is I quite like Instagram, but like the Facebook one. I'm not sure there's an actual time limit, but this here at some point we'll have to rebroadcast. It's like IGTV, so I might have to. I think it just saves me a bit of work. Ideally, I can steal the wee man's iPad, sign on to both at the same time, but to see how it goes. So what the goal is to forge this Tang. It's nearly that size. You want a wee bit of wiggle room just to work with a grinder later on. But it's kind of roughly in that general ballpark. Because I don't know, I've been doing this for years, but no matter how many times I do it, I always think of it forged, buy on, and then I take it out of the kneeling bucket. And I look at it and go, man, I'm a wee bit off. So, as long as you've structurally everything where you need it to be, you can always allow for a wee bit of grinder work afterwards. It's fully hidden, James, nobody didn't realise that. They're the easiest for, well, I don't know, debatable, depends what you use. For me, like doing a little set down like that's second nature, but maybe for some other people, I find it a wee bit trickier. Thinking back on the guys that come to the classes, on the day classes, you do like a full time. It's kind of like that style there, where the steel goes down the middle. These guys can see it. See that? Okay, so you're forging generally the shape, the handle you want. So in a way, I suppose that there, thinking back on it, like with people who are complete beginners, and they may find that a little bit more straightforward. But for me, the Japanese hidden Tang is, generally speaking, it's so much easier throughout the process. Starting to do a wee bit of that shape going on. So I need to hit the sides and bring it back to the square. you hear the music going in the background, because I find it very, very hard to work without music in the background over you guys. It keeps me a little bit seated. Last few weeks I'm doing it without it, and all I've been hearing is my own voice, and it's like, it's just weird. It's been horrible. Trying to read the comments. Mostly a lot of waving going on. This wee bit feels like it goes on a wee bit, you know, because you feel like you start and you put the set down and just everything seems to just fly into place. But then you're just trying to get those last 2 or 3 mils drawn out into a nice little shape. Otherwise you just feel like a screw it with the grinder. But it's like as I said before, you know, you're surprised how quickly you do it when you're actually forging compared to when you're actually doing it on the grinder. But saying that, when you're doing a Tang, especially a fully hidden one, you're not going to see it. As long as there's a taper there, believe it or not, the rougher it is, the better. The thing I do as well, is obviously you see the length that Tang is going out to. I'm obviously not going to use all that. I'm going to cut maybe nearly 2/3 of that Tang off, go into the little hole. So why bother? Why keep forging it out? Well, to be honest with you, when you're on the belt sanders and the grinders and all that there, that wee bit extra to hang on to saves a lot of time. But obviously you can use self grips and all that. When you're sitting there with a belt sander flying down like this, and you're like this with your fingers, we've got a wee bit more to hold on to. Just gives you a wee bit more room to move back and forth like so. Just for the sake. It's like 1 or 2 heats, you know. This stage is a little bit going the wrong direction, but as long as I got the taper going the right way, all I'll do is just kind of bring it back down again. So the wee dinks, I'll show you what I mean in a second. So you can compare the two. You can see what I meant by the difference in the length. Also the difference in the thickness there a little bit as well. So I need to bring this up a little bit, but it's also going the wrong way. So what I'll need to do is bring this here up a little bit and hammer that down a little bit. We're nearly there. What's best? Depends on your circumstances. Cold forge, gas forge. Cold forges are a lot cheaper to run. That's probably the main reason. The cold forges also can get to a much higher heat, so you can get the job done quicker. But if you're, if you're living in a housing estate, if you're living in the suburbs, you've got a small garden, a lot of smoke to your neighbours, and well, that might not be the most practical thing. While a gas forge, you can just kind of pack it into the corner and bring it out when you need. I have both. What I tend to do when I just do a day-to-day forging, it'll be the cold forge. If I'm doing fire welds, something a little bit more advanced, I might use a gas forge because I can actually see the steel heating. It's a little bit easier to do trickier things on the gas forge. But it is more expensive, and it's also a little bit more dangerous as well. You're working with propane here as well, so it is what it is. Both have their advantages. Okay, let's get that shoulder tidy up, and that's us. See any more questions? Is that what you use your knife for, Keith? I think the last knife Keith made was a lovely little samurai blade. He also made one before that. It's like a lovely little paring knife as well. You probably see it if you go on my Instagram page. Stuck a lot of advertisements in and around it. So it's good to see you, Keith. Hope you're doing well. Hear from you, can't see you. Oh, wait. Just trying to get the heat. The shoulder. Obviously, the thinner the steel is, the quicker it heats up. So I'm trying to gather the coal at the thicker end, just go so we can just dress that little shoulder a little bit more. Right. YouTube activity. Ernst Joe, I'm not quite sure who you are, mate, but good to see you. If you give me your full name, I'll remember it. Do you release your playlist on Spotify? Funnily enough, I had a friend who nominated me to do that, 10 albums that influenced your playlist and all that. And started to do it on Facebook, and I thought, I never actually look at my Facebook page, so it's kind of pointless. So I was talking about doing it for Hot Milk Forge, because if you ever do come to my classes, there's music going all the time. It's quite a unique taste. Some good, some bad. All good in my opinion. That'll pretty much do us, I think. Love cold shots, all good. Okay guys, so the next, I don't know if you can all see that. Okay, so the next process I'm going to do is you're just going to anneal it. Now, if you're all Forge and Fire fans, you will never see them do this in Forge and Fire. And this is why the guys on Instagram, they ask me, "Well, forge a knife in 4 hours?" Probably could, and that'd be including the annealing. But it just takes time. It might take up to an hour for the steel to cool down. So, what is annealing? Okay, so if you're a Forge and Fire TV show, you know what it is. It's a history channel. It's like X Factor for bladesmiths. When you hear the phrase heat treatment, you think of one thing. You think we heat it up to a cherry red colour and then plunge it in the oil and the flames going everywhere and all that. And that's actually just one part of it. That's the hardening process. There's little processes all the way through that. What we're doing now is annealing. The first one you actually want to do is normalising it. Now you're not doing it to normalise. You're doing it just to heat the steel up. When you heat your steel up to a forging temperature, roughly around 1,000 odd degrees, based that yellowy orange colour, you're kind of balancing everything in the steel so it's at its softest and strongest point. So when you're doing any of the heat treatment processes except tempering, you're pretty much doing that again. And what that does is it kind of balances all your work stress and heat stresses. Not all of them, because you're rough enough, you can put stuff in there, weaknesses in your steel, and they're just next to it, they're just impossible to get rid of. Remember, if you have small, subtle little ones, if you normalise it, it tends to take that away. Now the next thing I'll be doing is, say, after the normalisation, is to anneal it. And the annealing is going to stick it into this bucket here, which is full of vermiculite. You can use sand, you can use the side of the forge and turn off the blowers. There's lots of different ways. Traditionally, potash is used. That's what I've seen them do in Japan. I prefer vermiculite. It's kind of from my glassmaking days. Long story for another day. We're making glass beads. It's much better insulation, so it kind of wraps itself around the steel and lets it cool down at a much slower rate. Vermiculite used to be used in boilers, around boilers in the olden days for insulation. A bit more. So guys, I'll be literally finished here in about 5 minutes. So if you have any questions, throw them on the screen and we'll try and work through. Other than that, what I'll try and do is answer some of the questions that we mentioned on Facebook the other day. My opinions on certain things. So, that sounds interesting to you? Hang on. Okay, nice cherry red colour. Now what you didn't see there, guys, is me move that about a little bit. In the forge. And what I was doing was bringing the heat up and down the steel. So it was normalised from tip to base. Sometimes, if I'm teaching the class, sometimes I'll prioritise the handle and stuff like that, particularly if I'm doing a bladesmithing day class. Reason is, if I prioritise the handle, I'm fairly sure like the steel's quite durable to use, it's quite bulletproof, not literally, well, it is, I think, but anyway, more right. So what you want to do is make sure that handle is well annealed, well normalised. That way you can be sure to get your drill bits through. If you take shortcuts in that, you put work stress into that, you can just burn through drill bits. Okay, right, so blower off. By the way, John, if you're still watching, the playlist is on Spotify under Hot Milk Forge. If you can't find that, just look for Eamon Higgins. Eamon Higgins artist, maybe. It could be just Eamon Higgins. You'll find it on that. Okay, so any questions, guys? Where can you get vermiculite? It's really hard, particularly at the minute. Your garden store. Anywhere you can buy roses, you can get vermiculite. You know what I mean? It's dead easy to get. It actually is used for throwing around your plants. If you during the winter time to protect it from the frost. So dead easy to get. Actually, it's about as easy as getting potash, to be honest. Other questions? Let me see. Old Dairy Forge. Where'd you get that name from? Can you make throwing stars next week? Probably could, but could be bothered. Funny enough, I seen one of them in Japan once. Mitsu, the guy took me over there, took me to a friend of his who's an art collector, and Fukuoka, it's a great name of their place. And he had the most amazing pad, like so much antiques and traditional stuff and new designer maker stuff. It was incredible. And he actually had a throwing star embedded into the wall, like somebody just left it there. And this is like a really old, like Japanese style house. It just looked so authentic. It was really cool. We also had like a samurai sword beside it as well. It's like one of those ones where it just looks like one piece of wood, and you slide it out, and that's the way it is. Like ceremonial. We only really put the guards on when they're really mean business, if you know what I mean. But no, that was fascinating. What else we got? Oh. Right. Okay. So somebody was asked me during the week about, can you forge a katana in the style of some Japanese dude? I can't remember his name. I'm not very good with names. Answer the question is, I could probably make a katana-shaped sword, but it wouldn't be a katana, you know. Um, Katana, if you don't know what that is, a katana is Japanese for long sword. So when you think of samurai sword, that's what a katana is. Now, the katana swords, what you have to realise, it's not a battle sword. It's not designed for people to go in to war and fight other samurai and stuff like that. Well, it's basically a glorified police truncheon. So the samurai in their society, they were like the level above, like the peasants, so to speak, and it was their job to kind of police the community and run the society, and you know, they were the guys that were kind of educated as well. So say you were disrespectful to your daimyo, which had been your lord, it would have been the samurai who had punished you, and the punishment would tend to have been chopping off your head. So the samurai sword was designed to chop a guy's head off in one swipe. So it was not designed to hit war armour. It was not designed to go sword to sword. It was designed to do that, and it was also based around a design that the Japanese emperor thought was the most beautiful. And this is about 1,000 odd years ago, and every samurai sword maker after that aspired to make the perfect sword in that style. So it's based a lot on then also on the Shinto Buddhism thing as well. So when you see these guys online or wherever, you see it, and they're dressed all in the gear, and they're forging using the charcoal techniques and all the rest of it. Looks amazing craft, but they're doing that because it's tradition. They're not doing that specifically because that's the best way to do it. It's not necessarily good practice, but it's really skilled. So again, when you see these Americans in Forge of Fire putting the spirit of the warrior into their swords and dressing up a certain way, well, to me, I find that really insulting. If I was Japanese, I find it very condescending a bit. It's like somebody in America dressing as a leprechaun, you know, and drinking a pint of Guinness. It's like, you know what I mean, catch yourself on. It's like the fairy culture and, you know, leprechauns and the twisted animals are like a unique part of our culture that's just been kind of taken over by Americanism and all that there. So the samurai in many ways, and the samurai swords kind of gone the same way, with the likes of Kill Bill and all these other guys kind of ruining what the sword was. And if you went into Shinto Buddhism as well, Shinto Buddhism is also based around reverence to the emperor as well. So all these things, making a sword which was loved by the emperor, which was championed by the emperor, the fact it is they were special people in society, and they were given these swords as part of their culture. So, you know, it's a beautiful piece. There's so many interesting things with it, culturally and whatnot. I just feel a bit wrong. If it was me, to be honest, what I'd like to forge would be a Viking sword, you know, but or something along those lines. So that's what it is. A wee bit on the sword itself. Like what I really, you know, me as a blacksmith and artist, a sculptor and all that, I'm a maker. I get off on how the thing's made and the processes of, you know, you work through to create the best thing you can, design and make. So, you know, when I see the samurai sword, I see a beautiful design, but traditionally they're made of a very, very poor quality of iron, and that's because they only really deal with certain parts of China, like the Dutch. So they didn't really have a good source of iron ore, so they are forced to work with what they had. And a lot of the processes the samurai sword maker did was just to rescue the iron, which would any other part of the world would be just thrown away. It wouldn't have been used, because they had to do what they did to make these things. They had to put so much effort and structure into it to do that. And that's a lot of the we are forging today. We're compressing the grain and all that. Well, they're doing the same with a samurai sword, and then they're folding it and they're creating grain structure, and they're kind of hammering out all the impurities and actually making the steel in many ways as well into what it needs to be. So these many layers make it stronger, make it harder and all that. But it also means with this poor quality of iron ore, no matter how good a craftsman you can be, it's likely to fail. So when traditionally the samurai swords, when it went into battle, you maybe took 5 or 6 with them, you know, because they expected them to fail. So the samurai, when they went into battle, the first weapon of choice would have been the bow. Then you may well have archer. Then you may well have had a spear, and only then, when they were stuck, would the swords come out. You know, so Well, it's a fascinating piece. It's a fascinating thing to look at. It's something we really disrespect and look down on here and get a wrong context. So sometimes I'm guilty of that too. If any of you guys that came to my classes, you'll hear me go some along the lines, oh, it's shirt's made out of crap and it's snapped and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, so that's the samurai sword. The other one, I think it was Benny Fife. Nearly Neighbour, great singer. So if you find him on Facebook, give him a like. He asked a question there the other day, what about Ulfbert sword? And I never know if I'm pronouncing that properly. Now, if you don't know what that is, Google it, because for me, that's the ultimate in history. That sword was friggin' awesome. Did not look like much. It looks like your Viking sword you may have seen in the Viking TV shows and all the rest of it. But when they examined that under a microscope and they found out what that sword is made of, it kind of blows your mind a wee bit. And that kind of says a lot about knife making and sword making. It's about the quality of the iron and the steel you're using. So the Ulfbert's kind of like sums it all up for me. So the Ulfbert, if you don't know what it is he was basically a monk. I think he was in the Rhineland in Germany. And he dedicated his life to making the best swords ever. And basically the Viking lords and the Viking dames, and what the name for it, basically bosses. When they could afford one, when they could get one, they got an Ulfbert sword, because it was considered the best. They're the best killing weapons. They weren't designed to look pretty. They weren't designed on an aesthetic based on like what some emperor said 1,000 years ago. It was based on what's the best to whack over another guy's head with. That's what it was. What made them so great was basically what made the Viking and the Danish culture so great was they were able to source those things, just let it cool in the air. It all depends on the steel. Okay? Sometimes you normalize it a lot. Sometimes you thermocycle it. You don't. You just make sure, and it's not, honestly guys, it's not hard to figure out. do not go onto these forums, these blade splitting forums, and ask that question, because you will get some assholes going onto that, spouting stuff about normalising and doing all that sort of stuff, and they're talking through their hole. The best way to know what to do with that steel is go to the stockholder you got it from, ask them for a specification sheet on it, or one of the engineers who actually made the steel, you know, one of these companies like ground flat stock suppliers or something like that. Go onto there, download it, and if it says thermal cycle 3 or 4 times, well then thermal cycle 3 or 4 times. If it doesn't, don't. It's not rocket science, guys. Why we forge it is for grain structure and stuff like that. The heat treatment processes is a different thing altogether. It's a different monkey altogether. So, you know, follow the instructions, follow the recipe. If you are trying to make a black forest gatto, but you make it like you're making a lemon meringue, you're not going to make a black forest gatto. You're going to make balls of it. So there's no general rules of that. Know your steel, get your technical specification sheet from the right sources, and follow it. Okay, that's the rules. Okay, so when you're asking how many times do you do that, I don't know. I don't know what steel it is. Okay, any more questions? Good question. I'm using. Well, first thing, you're using out springs. If you're using out springs for tools and stuff like chisels and punches, tear on that. They're probably in the 10 series, they're probably 1080s or 1090s or something out there, or 1070s, whatever. And they probably do a very standard a heat treatment process like the ones, you know, I've discussed. However, there's no guarantee. And also, if you're using out of springs, there's a reason why they're out of springs. They're scrap, so they're going to have work stresses and stuff in them as well. So I'm saying that's fine for your tools, because you can always make another tool. You know what I mean? If a chisel snaps or cracks on you, you can weld it on your forge or something, but you know, make another one. Big deal. They're disposable. But if you're making a knife for somebody, or you're making a knife for yourself, or something you're going to be put a bit of pride in and you don't want to fail, don't use leaf springs, don't use out springs, don't use scrap, don't use rubbish, unless you're just doing it for the sake of doing it. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to make a knife out of Farrier's rasp or something, you know, and then be proud of the fact of doing that. That's fine, okay, but just be prepared to the fact that you're not 100% sure what steel's made of, and you're not 100% sure of its history, okay? So that's one of the things. Like these guys across the water and elsewhere who've done knife making classes and get, you know, Farrier's rasp, cut a bit off the end, tap it a few times, stick it on a handle, call it a Japanese knife. Guys, seriously, didn't see any more. Right, any other questions before we go back to Ulfbert? Let's see. Hey Vincent. Right, so Ulfbert, okay, I was telling you before we were rudely interrupted by the Instagram gremlins. This is why I'm thinking about doing it on Facebook next week. Basically, the Ulfbert, as I say, sourced their iron from all over the world. The best, so maybe, I don't know this for sure, but say the iron ore in Sri Lanka had like a high tungsten base, or maybe a titanium in it. And maybe the iron ore in Sweden was particularly pure, particularly magnetic, whatever, and combining these two together created like the perfect super steel. Now again, you want to kind of Google the super steels and what they are. It's kind of like a fairly modern invention to understanding what they are. So, you know, whether, you know, at a molecular level, they're understanding what goes into this iron ore, and then they're combining it with another one, they're combining it with this, and they're modern engineering and industrial age is we're able to create these amazing steels now that they couldn't do that back in the day. The great thing about Ulfbert, his swords, he's basically doing that, but not by knowing all the different molecular structures and all the different elements that went into there. He done that by going, that behaves a certain way, this behaves a certain way. If I combine these together, this would create the best sword. So what he did was he got all these little bits of iron, put it in to a crucible, maybe something, let's say something like that, okay, let me see that, and then he sealed the top, put a little bit of charcoal or something in the middle, and then he fired that there into, you know, like a, I don't mean like fired it like a stone, but I mean like literally fired it in a kiln, you know, type thing, a furnace and he fused all that iron together. A little bit of charcoal was to burn out all the oxygen. Burns out all the oxygen, it creates a nice clean iron mess, which he then took out and then he forged into the Viking sword. What he actually did as well was quite cool if you see them. He fire welded in his name in raw iron into the sword itself. Now that's pretty fairly handy enough to do with an oxyacetylene torch and modern tools, but doing that with a charcoal forge or coal forge, fucking hell. Respect is due, guys, seriously. So if you had to ask me, put a gun to my head and go, where's the best sword of history? Where did it come from? I wouldn't say Damascus. I wouldn't say Japan. I would say the Rhineland in Germany. Like all tools these days, probably the best place to get them is Germany. Still, 1,000 years ago, it's pretty much the same idea. So as I say, it wasn't the prettiest thing in the world, but it blew my mind that this guy, that level of making prowess, and that's what's really, but it's not necessarily for me, it's not really about the decorative, how pretty it looked, or functionality. It was, if you know anything about my sculpture and my art and how it's made and all that sort of stuff, I'm all into the process. So I love he did that, and it proves in the pudding that so many different kings and Danish kings and Viking kings were buried with these old birch swords as a sign of, and they weren't the prettiest things in the world. Any other questions, guys? Yeah, so somebody asked me about ram's head poker. I'll maybe keep that to when I do a fire weld. Not sure if I'll do the fire weld on the gas forge, like I would if I was making a knife doing Damascus, or whether I want to do it on the coal forge and make a wee ram's head poker. So may save it for that, but it's just kind of like ram's head poker. If you've never seen one before, it's kind of one of those classic things blacksmiths make just to demonstrate the fire weld. It is what it is. It's a cool little thing where you just take two bits of steel, heat it up on the fire and fuse it together. One of the other questions, let me see, somebody asked me about they were being smart. It says, oh, you should drift a hole in the hammerhead. And I had just and I think I said, but I'm not sure if I did or I just said it in my head. But one of the things I was going to say, what size of hammer? Okay, so if you were making like a big sledgehammer and stuff, yeah, you'll need somebody to give you a hand, or use the power hammer because it's a lot of sledging. However, if you were like, I think this time last year I had the Royal Society of Silversmiths in with me. So I had 8 guys all making their own little hammers for making jewellery, and I put them into pairs, and one person held and the other person used a top tool to drift the steel through and create like a little drift. The way you'd want to do that if you ever end up doing it yourself is, it's not a perfect hole like that if you're making a hammer. You know what you want is actually come into a slight taper, or even like that and a little bit like that. And the reason being is you want it to flare when you put the handle. You want your handle of the hammer to kind of, see if I've got a hammer out. Okay, so you want this top bit here to kind of flare out so it kind of holds into place. So logically you think, well, that there's straight through, but no, you actually want it to go a little bit like that. So how do you do that? Well, when you're slot drifting, usually you'll halfway through, flip it around halfway through so it spreads out evenly. Okay, so it goes down evenly. But the way around this is, you go maybe 3/4 the way down, flip it around, and go the quarter down the other way. You know what I mean? So when it's corrected on the sides, it's got, instead of going straight through, well, then you drift it through, and then when you correct it back in again, it has that natural kind of shape that you get in your hammer. So that's how you do it. You do that. I'll show that another day maybe. If I can be bothered, but it's quite hard work. And then the handles. One thing I learned from my nephew was use a bit of hardwood with the other wood in the middle rather than a piece of steel, and then that kind of catches the grain of the wood and then makes it more solid and less likely to split. Cover the katana, the Ulfbert hammer, the ram's head. That's pretty much it, guys. So, any questions? Any other questions? If not, I'll be signing off fairly soon. I think someone else talked about it. Yeah, so check to see if this knife, not even close. If you can't put your hand on it, if you can't put your hand on the, what I was doing there was checking the bucket for the people on Instagram can't see. I was checking the bucket there to see if the knife had cooled down sufficiently. If you can't put your fingers on it and hold it, it's not cold enough. Okay, so in theory we want to take that out. It's well cooled down. If you're in a hurry for it, you take it out around about 200 degrees or so max, and that way it'll cool down slowly in the air and it'll not do any harm. Anything above that you might do structural stuff to it, but you always want to anneal it. And the reason you want to anneal it, I mentioned earlier on that by annealing it, it makes it softer. It means you're getting drill bits through it. One thing I didn't mention was one of the reasons I do it in bladesmithing classes. I always insist on doing it because obviously it'd be a lot quicker in many ways just to harden it straight away, get the guy straight on the grinders just like they do in Forge and Fire. One of the reasons I do the annealing is it makes your knife stronger. So when you're on belt sanders and the grinders, you're heating that steel up, and sometimes you can get that a little bit too hot. And then if you quench it in water, you can cause a failure, so it can crack on you. However, if it's annealed, it's that wee bit stronger, so it's more likely to just hold its shape. Because you will be normalising again later on, and then you will be hardening it. But so having it annealed means you can make a few mistakes. You don't want to make mistakes, don't try and make mistakes, but if you do make a mistake, your knife is less likely to crack and smash on you. And if you're teaching a bladesmith a weekend course, a day class like I am, if you're at the point where you're on the grinders, you're maybe 2 or 3 hours from being finished, and if your knife snaps at that point, you may not go home with a knife. So I do everything in my power to avoid that. So annealing is one of those ways to avoid that. Right, I think I have a question there. What am I planning next week? How many times should you eat? What am I planning next week? I have no idea. I have no idea. I would like probably, I probably would like to kind of continue on, you know, like the structure of how I see my courses and my philosophy in hot melt forge, whether it's knife orientated, whether it's blacksmith, and we'll see. I might just mess and have fun. We might make a wee leaf, or we might make a wee some wee bottle opener, or something a wee bit fun and a bit silly, but don't know, we'll see. So if you have any ideas, you know, you can contact me on Facebook, etc. That seemed a bit creepy. I was just trying to read your. It's good. Which knife was that, James? Was that your? Was that the one with the samurai, with the layered ones, or was it your hook, or which one was it? I'm like, well, I'm waiting for an instant reply. You have to type and all. But yeah, so no, it's really important to anneal your knives. Don't know how to finish this up, guys. So, the sacks. Oh, why? Yeah. There you go. That's good. That's good feedback. And saying that myself, one of my knives in there was 1095. Had to spend about half an hour the other day just resharpening it and redressing it and doing the whole shebang with that. Took ages because it was chipped. And that's one of the things about using certain types of steel like 1095. Yeah, it can go crazy sharp, but they also can chip on you quite easy as well. So that's why people use steels like Hitachi white and Hitachi blue and all that, because they get sandpicked and all that, because they are just like Ulfbert sword, are just structurally a bit stronger. Right, guys, so anybody on Instagram or anybody who's on YouTube who haven't subscribed to my channel, I have no aspirations to be a YouTuber, but if anybody's seen earlier on, I was on and off YouTube. It was an absolute pain on to actually get on live on YouTube. I've got it vaguely sussed now. But if I get to 1,000 subscribers, I can just stick it on my phone. Happy days, and then maybe I could use my laptop for Facebook or something like that there. It would make it so much easier if I had 1,000 subscribers. So basically, if you haven't, click subscribe, because they won't let me do it through my phone until I can get to 1,000 subscribers. If I get it through my phone, picture quality is better, there's less lag, I'm not depending on 4G and all that sort of crack. So give a wee subscription if you feel so inclined and like and all that. I know you hear that on YouTube all the time, but it actually does make a different quality of what I can give you guys. Other than that, guys, one last wee check. Questions? All good. A bending fork. That's not rocket science, it's 2 bars welded on. Bendy bars, called. Don't have to be fancy. Just bend the bar, weld it onto another bar. Not rocket science. Anyway, so I talked to Lou, he wanted on the YouTube channel, he wanted to show how to do a bending fork. Anyway, so other than that, guys, really nice to check in. You guys have been to my classes before. Really nice to see you virtually again. Hope you're all staying safe. I have no idea when we'll be up and going again. Fingers crossed it'll be June, July time, but we don't know. We genuinely don't know. It's a social distancing thing is the biggest issue here. If I could keep the classes down to 2 or 3, keep everybody separate, that might be an option. When this thing starts to peter out, but let's be honest, guys, we're not going to be partying or going to pubs or getting in close contact with people, I'd say, until there's a vaccine out. So what we're doing at that point. I'm going nowhere. My business is fairly sound. I'd have to be not doing classes for maybe 2 years before I'd have to be thinking about shutting the doors and Hot Milk Forge. Don't worry about that. So if you booked into a space in the future, that space will be honoured. If you buy a voucher, that voucher will be redeemed, will be honoured as well. So usually it's about 1 year length of a voucher. I'll extend that to whenever we need. So at the minute, if you buy a voucher now, I'm giving you 18 months to redeem it. Even if I'm allowed to get back to classes next month, it gives you another 18 months from there. So it's worth it. So even if you want to do a bladesmith and weekend class, but you can't quite afford the 200 quids, well, maybe buy a wee voucher here, wee voucher there, wee voucher there. It builds up to it as well. Because I am going nowhere, gentlemen and ladies, if anybody's watching. But in the meantime, guys, I'll try and keep doing this. It's been fun. It's been a bit of crack. I've done a wee bit of a GoPro thing.